I do want to bring our big story now to our panel. Joining us today is our ABC News contributor and op-ed columnist for the Los Angeles Times, LZ Granderson, former GOP national spokesperson Elizabeth Pipko, former White House deputy press secretary for the Biden administration Chris Marr, and Republican strategist Annalise Keller. Wonderful to be here with all of you. And Chris, there was a lot of talk yesterday that just the meeting with lawmakers on Capitol Hill might change the calculus in this. But now these women took to the steps of the Capitol. They're speaking out. How do you think that changes all of this?
I mean, it was a powerful day today, and I honestly just don't understand what Republicans don't get about this. They thought the August recess might push the Epstein case to the background, but it clearly is not going away for Republicans on the Hill or for this administration. And it's for a good reason. They said over and over and over there were files. Pam Bondi said she had reviewed thousands of hours of videotape. Now there's no list, there's no files, there's no videos to share. Now you have victims speaking up. You have some Republicans taking action or trying to take action. So this is clearly not going away for people. And Republicans are going to have to answer to it one way or the other.
Well, Annalise, it sounds like Republicans are answering to that, at least a little bit. We heard Speaker Johnson today saying he really feels like it's perhaps unfortunate or that these women have been misled, the ones that think that the House Oversight Committee is not doing enough to investigate. But I think enough is one part of it, Annalise, but also the speed. I think people want it done faster.
Yeah, I mean, this has gone on for a very long time. I agree with Chris that it's not going away. We were talking earlier about the discharge petition. I don't think that is going to be successful. As a reminder, there are 4 Republicans who've signed on to the discharge now. But of course, there is no one who wants to be those wanted Republicans get this done, right? So those Republicans are probably not going to come out of the woodwork. And then as far as speed, the Republicans have so much to do right now. And I think there is a real concern they're not going to be releasing. I think they have around 100,000 files or pages right now, and they've released around 33,000 of them. So there is this effort that they will release those, but there's no indication of the timing. So I think this is going to continue to be a challenge for Republicans, especially as they're looking to fund the government, which is going to come up at the end of this month. This is going to be a continued challenge for Republicans.
Right. This is not the only thing that Congress needs to deal with. But LZ, I tell you what, when some of those lawmakers walked out of that bipartisan meeting with those victims yesterday, there was this look of shock on many of their faces. And there was a Republican lawmaker who said it's clear that there are powerful people that need to go to jail.
Well, we've known that for some time. And I'm not saying that we've had these people on trial and they had due process, but there's been suspicions that there have been a circle of powerful people that have been involved with this. And it's not based on just, political, whims, but look at the money. Follow the money. Jeffrey Epstein was worth like nearly $600 million at the time of his death. How did he get his money? Who was funding him? How did he buy those islands? How did he transport all these people? These are legitimate questions that can lead us to who, may be at the epicenter in terms of funding his enterprise. And I think that's a really important aspect of this conversation to have. We can get into the political part of it, how it impacts the current administration. Why didn't the previous administration release? We can do all of that, but this is about the victims. And there's a really clear-cut avenue, in my opinion, and that is simply who sent the transfers of the money into his account. He had more than $1 billion worth of wire transfers from a bank into his account. Who sent the money? These are very, very straightforward questions. And once we get those names, then we can talk the political fallout. But I think right now what the DOJ is doing is dragging their feet on this because they don't want some of their people to get splashed by this mud. But I would tell you simply, the people that I've spoken to on the progressive side, they don't care whose name's attached to it. What they want is justice for the victims.
And that is something that was promised by Speaker Johnson, justice and transparency. Elizabeth, do you think the president missed an opportunity today in the Oval Office, perhaps by doubling down on the idea that this was a hoax, touting his other accomplishments and not sort of leaning in to what it seems like both Republicans and Democrats are leaning into right now and listening to these women?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I just want to echo what LZ said. This really is about the victims and should solely be about the victims. I'm glad that people on both sides of the aisle are able to come together on this and realize how important it is to the American people. Again, both left and right. When it comes to Donald Trump, I can only speak as someone who has been around him for many, many years. I believe when he's referring to a hoax, he's referring to the media who has covered this in probably a negative way towards him. For example, claiming he's losing massive amounts of support from his base, which is not true, or attacking him and his administration for not releasing information when they never did that to Joe Biden for many years. That's what I believe he's referring to. At the same time, I'm glad that he is fully aware, obviously, how much this means to the American people, including folks in his base, how much people in his own party are going to continue fighting for the release of these documents. And I'm sure he is very well aware the American people will not let this go. And I think it's really, really a good thing at this point in time that we've all come together knowing how despicable this story is. And we're all on the same side of transparency here. And I'm hoping we see a lot more information in the coming weeks.
Can I just do a quick follow, Elizabeth? He also said, why aren't you talking about my accomplishments, the wars that I ended? And it was like he was talking directly to the media as if the media is the one pushing this narrative. But it's lawmakers that are invested in this transparency, too.
Well, I think it's lawmakers that are invested in transparency, and thank God for that. But I think the problem is that when he is attacked as if he's the sole person responsible for releasing all of this, I can understand why he's saying, hey, why are you bringing this up instead of talking about this war that I've ended or this flood in Texas? The first time this was brought up was in that cabinet meeting. I think you and I talked about it when there was still that flood going on in Texas. He was attacked for not putting out information when that was the topic of the day. And I think it was a very inappropriate question to ask. So I'd say I understand his frustration, but I also think people should know he understands that the American people will not let this go and do demand answers on this.
I certainly do. All right, LZ, Elizabeth, Chris, and Annalise, thank you. Don't go anywhere. We've got more to talk about in our spotlight. President Trump defends